Atrium, and thank you for coming
Where
today.
real estate could have been had for us.
We have
We're going to be with you.
a newcomer, relatively speaking, from Colorado. He just moved here to Eugene about 8 months ago, yeah?
Something like that.
Yeah. So we have Ken Amdahl, and to make sure he comes back, let's give him a nice welcome.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming. And Tom, thank you for having me. Kind of sight unseen. Kind of an odd set of situations. Circumstances led me to be here. So I just moved from Colorado 9 months ago. And so that's why, if you don't know my name, that's probably why. Well, that and that I'm really, really obscure. So I'm going to do some of my own songs and some songs by other people. This is a song by a Canadian songwriter named David Francie. David drives a truck back and forth from Canada to the United States. And while he's driving, he writes songs. If you're not familiar with David, you should be. He's got a great voice, writes good songs. Anyway, this is one of his songs called Borderline. Four in the morning, 20 below, with the sun coming up over Buffalo. I'll be turning for home with a load to go, coming back from the borderline. 3 hours passing through the customs gate, 3 hours out and I'm running late, trying to make a living, hauling that freight, coming back from the borderline. Well, I think of my baby fast asleep when the sun comes calling, the new day leaps from horizon to windshield to the locket where I keep her always. Down by the bridge, by the broker's sign, tired on coffee and hurt for time, got my eye on the blue horizon line. Oh, the highway slithers like a golden snake between the darkened sky and the frozen lake. My heart's still hoping that you might wait, coming back from the borderline. Well, I think of my baby fast asleep when the sun comes calling, a new day leaps from horizon to windshield to the light where I keep her always. Down by the bridge, by the broker's sign, wired on coffee and hurt for time, got my eye on the blue horizon line. 4 in the morning, 20 below, with the sun coming up over Buffalo. I'll be turning for home with a load to go, coming back from the borderline. 4 in the morning, 20 below, with the sun coming up over Buffalo. I'll be turning for home with a load to go, coming back from the borderline. Back there, we get, up in the mountains, they get a lot of snow. But out in the plains, Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, Colorado Springs, We get 14 inches of precipitation total per year. Not per weekend, you know, per year. So back there, when it rains, it's sort of a cause for celebration and maybe write a song, you know. So we moved here in December, and you guys must be celebrating all the time. Man, I can only imagine how many songs you guys have written. Anyway, this is one I wrote back in Colorado, back when rain was a special thing. Well, it's drizzling tonight in the desert. Softens a world of hard extremes. Not enough moisture for the weatherman to measure. Evaporates like any other dream. Oh, it must have been the rain on my window. Must have been the wind at my door. It must have been the rain tapping at my window pane. The pain is gone, there's nothing left anymore. But I met you hitchhiking from London. I saw your face at my door. Thought I heard your voice call my name out and say I love you. I thought I heard your voice, I could have sworn. Oh, but it must have been the rain on my window. Must have been the wind at my door. It must have been the rain tapping at my window pane. The pain is gone, there's nothing left anymore. A late night TV talk show lights the bedroom. Curtain drawn, I'm sitting here all alone. I thought I heard you ringing on my doorbell. I thought I heard you ringing on my phone. Oh, but it must have been the rain on my window. Must have been the wind at my door. It must have been the rain tapping at my window pane. The pain is gone, there's nothing left anymore. But late at night I start to feeling restless, and nothing sounds as lonely as the rain. Easy to invent love stories in my mind, listening to sounds I can't explain. Oh, it must have been the rain on my window. Must have been the wind at my door. It must have been the rain tapping at my window pane. The pain is gone, there's nothing left. Well, it must have been the rain on my window. Must have been the wind at my door. Must have been the rain tapping at my window pane. The pain is gone, there's nothing left anymore. Thank you. Back in the long time ago, probably early 70s, I was driving around in my red MG, banging on the gas pump to keep it running. I put those behind the seat. Anyway, I heard a song. Back then, I could learn songs really quick. I played a lot of guitar back then, and I could listen to a song and about here, I could hear the chords the first time through, and I could memorize maybe a verse of a song after one or two times. I heard this song that I kind of liked. I think it was Tony Joe South, and it was called "I Got a Thing About You." Does anybody remember that song? You're all too young. But, it was not on the radio very long, but I memorized one verse of it while I heard it, and then it never came on again. So that seemed like a waste. But then a couple of years ago, I thought, you know, this internet thing, they might have words to that song on there. And son of a gun, they did. And since I already knew one verse, I had really no choice but to learn the song. So this is my version of Tony Joe South's "Thing About You." Well, I got something to tell you. I think you ought to know eyes been on you, baby, since a very long time ago. Now I finally got the nerve and I'm gonna make my move. Don't you try to turn me off, cause it's gonna be hard to do. I got a thing about you, baby, ain't nothing I can do. I got a thing about you, baby, a thing about loving you. Well, ain't no two ways about it. Your love was meant for me. No, I can't live without it. It suits me to a T. Ooh, something about you, baby, I can't get you off my mind. No, I can't live without you, honey, cause I think about you all the time. I got a thing about you, baby, ain't nothing I can do. I got a thing about you, baby, thing about loving you. Ain't it just like a woman when she knows she's got a man? She'll ring you out, she'll put you down in the palm of her hand. Then maybe she'll get to thinking that she puts you in a bind. She'll give you just a little love and it'll get you every time. I got a thing about you, baby, ain't nothing I can do. I got a thing about you, baby, a thing about loving you. I got a thing about you, baby, ain't nothing I can do. I got a thing about you, baby, a thing about loving you. My mother was from Kansas, and her brother, my Uncle Vince, was from Kansas, and I lived in Colorado. Spent an awful lot of time driving across the Great Plains, and I assume you've all spent some time driving across the Great Plains and have noticed some similarities to the geography and the layout. Specifically in Kansas, you have got fields of corn or wheat stretching to the horizon. You can see the horizon in Kansas, and it's got wheat on it. And then these huge farms, and then way up close to the road, this little bitty white house, right? They must have 10,000 acres, and then they got this 600 square foot white house right up by the road where you can hear the traffic noise. And then behind that, there's this monstrous barn, okay? Yes, so I can see some nods, you've been there. And I was thinking, what would it be like to grow up in that kind of environment? Be interesting, wouldn't it? And my Uncle Vince certainly did, and my mother certainly did. So I was daydreaming driving down the road about living in that kind of a place. It wouldn't be bad. It'd be different, but wouldn't be bad. So I wrote this song, Big Red Barns. Big red barns, little white houses, chickens in the front, and the kids out back. Take me home to the blue sky country, smoke a little corn, sit by the railroad track. Big red barns, little white houses, chickens in the front, and the kids out back. Take me home to the blue sky country, smoke a little corn, sit by the railroad track. There's a place we go to watch the moon rise slow over fields and trees, dancing with the shadows and making music with the leaves. And all I want to do is wake up in the middle of the night with you. All I want to be is whatever you want to see when you wake up in the middle of the night with me. I'll sit on the porch, sing me one more song. You go on, I'll be right along. There's big red barns, little white houses, chickens in the front, and the kids out back. Take me home to the blue sky country, smoke a little corn, sit by the railroad track. When the highway song drifts on the evening breeze, seductively, people going places that I will never see. Well, I rock my chair and the thunder rolls miles away harmlessly. I lock up your cares, let wonder grow right off on some old melody, where the wind and the rain run free. Well, it reminds me of the storms we had back home. All the on the evening breeze, seductively leading to places that I will never see. But I rock my chair and the thunder rolls miles away harmlessly. I lock up your cares and let wonder grow right off on some old melody. Wet wind and rain on free. It reminds me of the storms we had back home. All the friends and family that I've known. And big red barns, little white houses, jiggling in front and kids out back. Take me home to the blue sky country, smoke a little boys and ride a rainbow track. Big red barns, little white houses, chickens in the front and the kids out back. Take me home to the blue sky country, smoke a little boys and ride the railroad track.
It's a very nice song. I know that country well.
Okay, since I have you here and you've been too embarrassed to leave yet, thank you for that, by the way. This is a song that I'm not allowed to do at home much because my kids have heard it and my wife has heard it, but you might not have heard it. So. You may not believe this, but years and years ago, I was a teenage folk singer. This was back in the big folk scare of the 1960s. My parents were in denial for a long time, but finally they came to acceptance, and one Christmas they decided they'd give me something I actually might want. So they went down to the Denver Folklore Center, talked to Harry Tuck, who's the proprietor, said, "We got us a teenage folk singer. What would he like?" Now, Harry Tuck, he's a righteous man, honorable gentleman, but he's a good businessman. He sized the situation up very quickly. He had a middle-aged couple in front of him with hard green dollars. They had a teenage folk singer, and they had no clue. He said, "Wait right here, I'll be right back." Harry went in the back room, dug into the big cardboard box of albums, record albums, that said, abandon all hope of ever selling. Dug in there, dusted off a couple, brought them up front, said, "This is what your kid wants." Now, one of those albums was by a guy named Fred Engelberg. Fred Engelberg was a longshoreman in New York, big burly guy, big black beard, looked like a biker. He wrote these sweet and kind of funny songs, kind of odd songs actually. One of his songs sounds kind of like this, called "Wish Ticka Ticka," subtitle, "Time Keeps Tick-Tocking Away." Another one was called "Mufki Eye," not doing that one either. Another one was his big Christmas hit. Everybody talking about Jesus and Mary, ain't nobody talking about Joe. And this one, it's called "Whiskers the Catfish." Now Fred has gone on to the great hootenanny in the sky, so I may well be the only person in the world that still sings "Whiskers the Catfish." And you, my captive friends, are one of the very few audiences privileged to ever hear it. And you, my family back there, are privileged to hear it yet again. Whiskers the Catfish. Oh, Whiskers was a catfish in a stream in Mississippi, living free and easy, feeding on what he could get. Johnson brothers caught him. They didn't want to eat him, decided they would train and make old Whiskers their pet. That was May, they bought a bathtub. They filled it with muddy water. They'd swim him around for an hour, promenade him round for two. Soon they had him walking, boarding at the bunkhouse. You wouldn't believe the chores that old catfish could do. He'd do the everything was going along fine. Then came that day in August, the boys was going fishing. Whiskers, feeling lonely, was just hanging around. Decided to go with them. He lit into a whopper, but lost his balance, fell into the river and drowned. Think about it, it was a catfish. Oh, now the boys just ain't been the same since that day in August. To find another Whiskers is their greatest wish. The moral of this story is really kind of simple. You can lead a fish from water, but you can't let him fish. So I guess I'm going to do a folk song, old traditional folk song, called Shady Grove. I had a banjo made of gold, every string did shine. The only song that it would play, I wish that gal was mine. Oh, Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Hey, oh, Shady Grove, I'm bound to go away. Now, if I had no horse at all, you'd find me a-crawling up and down this mountain road, looking for my darling. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Hey, oh, Shady Grove, I'm bound to go away. Peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. If I can't have the one I love, have no one at all. Oh, Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Hey, oh, Shady Grove, I'm bound to go away. I wish I had a needle and thread, fine as I could sew. I'd sew that gal to my coattail, round and round we'd go. Ah, Shady Grove, my little Shady Grove, I say. Hey, oh, Shady Grove, I'm bound to go away. Cheeks as red as a blooming rose and eyes as deep as brown. Oh, you're the darling of my heart, won't you stay till the sun goes down? Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Hey, oh, Shady Grove, I'm bound to go. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Hey, oh, Shady Grove, I'm bound to go. Man, the trees and the flowers and all the music, man, the stuff that's over in the that other the little festival that's going on right now. It's a bunch of stuff going on there. And one thing I like is that it surprised me, coming from Colorado where people are pretty friendly, is that people smile at you. They smile at you on the street. You smile at somebody, they smile back. Well, in Denver, that doesn't happen. And in fact, one of my sons came and visited Scott, and he said, "Dad, these people, they all smile at you." I said, "That's kind of disturbing." So, but we've adapted. We like it. So, back in Colorado years ago, I sang in a volunteer sectarian choir called the Last Note Singers. And it was called the Last Note Singers because it was a volunteer choir, and during the middle of a song, people would get a little uncertain about what their part was, and it got a little shaky from time to time. But when you got to that last note, and everybody knew their note, man, we belted out that last chord, so it became the name of the choir. And we sang for veterans' homes and nursing homes, and mostly at Christmas. Anybody who really had low standards, we would sing to pretty much, especially Christmas songs. And I was more of a bass back then than I am now, but I sang in the bass section since I was tall. I was in the last row, and one of the guys next to me was named Jim Donlin, who was also a bass and also tall. And, Jim was a really neat guy. He was on the board of directors of the Swallow Hill Music Association, the big folk music, second biggest folk music association in the country after Chicago. And every year he'd go back to the Walnut Valley Bluegrass Festival that my wife and I went in Winfield, Kansas. And we've been there probably every other year we went there. So if you've ever been in a volunteer choir, there's this odd thing that happens when you're rehearsing in between songs. You get to the end of a song and the whole choir erupts in conversation. Have you ever noted? Yes, I see some heads nodding. Okay. And the director pounds on things and yells at you and wants to get your attention and tell you what you did wrong, and they don't care. We're just all talking and everything. So I was here, I'm the bass, and over here's the tenors, and the sopranos are way over there. We had very little contact with the sopranos. But right to the next is, to the left of us were the altos. 3 or 4 women down was this really sweet lady named Sally Fisk. And Sally had one of those nuclear smiles. You know, those smiles, you see it, it lights up, kind of like Obama's smile, you know, you see it, just, it's wonderful. And so those of us of a wisecracking persuasion, when the crowd erupted into conversation, we erupted into wisecracks, largely to see if we could get Sally to smile, okay? So then my friend Jim, that I stood next to, died. And I decided not to write him a song about the disease that got him or anything, but really about those intermissions at the rehearsals of the Last Note Singers. So the song's called Jim Donlin. Tuesday nights in the choir room, the autumn of each year, we learned our parts and filled our hearts with music of good cheer. For friends who feel forgotten, some who lost their homes, for soldiers far with family near, feeling alone. Well, I never saw a church on Sunday morning, I guess that's fair. Tuesday nights in the choir room, I did my worship there. And some of the notes we sang were right, some had good intent, but the final chord rang loud and true when the music was all spent. And then the tenors joked, the sopranos all spoke, the altos did beguile. Me and Jim in the bass back row, we're just watching Sally smile, watching Sally smile, singing sweet and mild. Me and Jim in the bass back row, we're just watching Sally smile. Jim Donlin was a rambling lad. One day he had to go to the grand backstage where the music's made for the great celestial show. All the angels laid their harps down, picked up mandolins. Let's celebrate by the pearly gates. A bass finally got in, and I know I'll see him smiling at Winfield High Stage 3, or walking around Swallow Hill, spread in harmony. Oh, watching Sally smile and singing sweet and mild. Me and Jim in the bass back row, we're just watching Sally smile. Some folks are known by what they own, some by what they do, some complete the friends friends they keep, and Jim kept quite a few. But the ones you hold when the day grows old, you know by what they love. Good songs or curls for pretty girls, and we'll never have enough. So take a sip and toast Jim's drip and beauty where we find it. Don't shed a tear, your friend's not here. We follow close behind you. And some of the notes we sang were right, some had good intent, but the final chord rang loud and true. When music was all spent, and then the tenors joked, the sopranos all spoke, the altos did beguile. Me and Jim in the bass back row, we just watching Sally smile, watching Sally smile, singing sweet and mild. Me and Jim in the bass back row, we just watching Sally smile. Bryce, you're not going to get happy. He likes this one old folk song, and I'm not probably going to do it tonight. You know, there's songs that people do that they do the definitive version of, you know? I mean, the Rolling Stones did Satisfaction. You would be crazy to do Satisfaction because it's going to be worse, right? And there are other examples that none come to mind. Up the ladder to the roof. You know, the Nylons did the definitive version of that. Nobody's going to do a better version. And this is a song that's like that. You know, somebody did the definitive version of this. Anyone would be foolish to do it. But then sometimes you're sitting around and you just kind of start playing a song you've heard on the radio or you know a little bit, and then you kind of like playing it, and so you know it's foolish to do. But you do it anyway. So this is not going to be the definitive version. This is going to be a inferior version. But I think it's going to be the last song, because I think we're out of time, right about. So thank you so much for coming. I'm Ken Amdahl. I didn't bring any paper or anything to get on a mailing list because I don't have any gigs. But if you want a business card, catch me afterwards, and you can email me, and we'll start an email list. Coming round the bend, I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on, and that train keeps on rolling on down the San Antonio. Now, when I was a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. And now I hear the lonesome whistle, I hang my head and I cry. Eating in fancy dining cars. I bet they drink cocktails and smoke big cigars. Well, I know I'll get it coming. I know I can't be free. prison, that's where I want to stay. And I let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Now I hear that train coming round the bend. I ain't seen sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. And that train keeps on rolling on down to San Antonio. You know that train keeps on rolling on down to San Antonio. Colorado, I wasn't busy with other stuff. I got the group 10 years ago, and then I kind of lost interest.
Thank you.